guys, I do not know what happened to my video, but it died on me. So no. Okay. Anyways, so let's move on. Okay. So here is our read aloud that has been done by one of our other teachers at Bice Elementary. So y'all ready? Okay.
Hi, my name is Jessica Barrage, and I teach second grade at Bice Elementary. Today I'm going to talk to you about a strategy. This strategy is called visualizing. When we visualize, we make a movie in our head or a mental image of an idea or something that someone tells us. So if I tell you I had a yummy breakfast, your mind probably instantly thought of what you think is yummy for breakfast. You pulled this from your background knowledge, which you already know, and you probably thought how yummy it would taste, and that is using your five senses. We can also do this when we are reading. When we are listening to a story, we put a mental image in our head, and that helps us remember what we have read. Today we're going to practice this strategy reading Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. It is written by Judy Barnett and drawn by Ron Barnett. So as I read, please think about the mental images you have in your mind as I read the story. We were all sitting around the big kitchen table. It was Saturday morning, pancake morning. Mom was squeezing oranges for juice. Henry and I were betting on how many pancakes we could eat, and Grandpa was doing the flipping. Seconds later, something flew through the air and headed toward the kitchen ceiling and landed right on Henry. After we realized that the flying object was only a pancake, we all laughed, even Grandpa. Breakfast continued quite uneventfully, and all the other pancakes landed in the pan, and all of them were eaten, even the one that landed on Henry. That night, touched off by the pancake incident at breakfast, Grandpa told us the best tall-tale bedtime story he'd ever told. Across an ocean, over lots of huge bumpy mountains, across 3 hot deserts and 1 smaller ocean, there lay a tiny town of Chew and Swallow. In most ways, it was very much like any other tiny town. It had a main street lined with stores, houses with trees, and gardens around them. A schoolhouse, about 300 people, and some assorted cats and dogs. But there were no food stores in the town of Chew and Swallow. They didn't need any. The sky was supplied with all the food they could possibly want. The only thing that was really different about Chew and Swallow was its weather. It came 3 times a day, at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Everything that everyone ate came from the sky. So what was your image of the town? Whatever the weather served, that's what they ate. But it never rained rain, and it never snowed snow, and it never blew wind. It just rained things like soup and juice. It snowed mashed potatoes and green peas, and sometimes the wind blew in storms of hamburgers. Sticky that must feel. The people could watch the weather report on television in the morning, and they could even hear a prediction for the day's food. When the townspeople went outside, they carried their plates, cups, glasses, forks, spoons, knives, and napkins with them. That way they would always be prepared for any kind of weather. If there were leftovers, and there usually were, the people took them home and put them in their refrigerator, just in case they got hungry between meals. Did you picture an umbrella filled with juice? The menu varied. By the time they woke up in the morning, breakfast was coming down. After a brief shower of orange juice, low clouds of sunny side up eggs moved in, followed by pieces of toast. Butter and jelly sprinkled down for the toast, and most of the time it rained milk afterwards. For lunch one day, frankfurters, already in their rolls, blew in from the northwest at about 5 miles an hour. There were mustard clouds nearby, then wind shifted to the east and brought in baked beans. A drizzle of soda finished off the meal. Dinner one night consisted of lamb chops, becoming heavy at times with occasional ketchup. Periods of peas and baked potatoes were followed by a gradual clearing, with a wonderful jello setting in the west. The sanitation department of Chew and Swallow had a rather unusual job for a sanitation department. It had to remove the food that fell on the houses and sidewalks and lawns. The workers cleaned things up after every meal and fed all the dogs and cats. Then they emptied some of it into the surrounding oceans for the fish and turtles and whales to eat. The rest of the food was put back onto the earth so that soil would be richer for people's flower gardens. Did you picture a fork and a spoon for the garbage truck? Life for the townspeople was delicious until the weather took a turn for the worse. Dun dun dun. One day there was nothing but gorgonzola cheese all day long. The next day there was only broccoli all overcooked. And the next day there were Brussels sprouts and peanut butter with mayonnaise. Another day there was pea soup fog. No one could see where they were going and they could barely feel the rest of the meal. They could barely find the rest of the meal that got stuck in the fog. Ew, gross. The food was getting larger and larger, and so were the portions. The people were getting frightened. Violent storms blew up frequently. Awful things were happening. One Tuesday, there was a hurricane of bread and rolls all day long into the night. There were soft rolls and hard rolls, some with seeds and some without. There was white bread and rye and whole wheat toast. Most of it was larger than they had ever seen bread and rolls before. It was a terrible day. Everyone had to stay indoors, roofs were damaged, and the sanitation department was beside itself. The mess took the workers 4 days to clean up, and the sea was full of floating rolls. To help out, the people piled up as much bread as they could in their backyards. The birds picked at it a bit, but it just stayed there and got staler and staler. There was a storm of pancakes one morning and a downpour of maple syrup that nearly flooded the town. A huge pancake covered the school. No one could get it off because of its weight, so they had to close the school. Lunch one day brought 15-inch strips of cream cheese and jelly sandwiches. Everyone ate themselves sick, and the day ended with a stomachache. There was an awful salt and pepper wind accompanied by an even worse tomato tornado. People were sneezing themselves silly and running to avoid the tomatoes. The town was a mess. There were seeds and pulp everywhere. The sanitation department gave up. The job was too big. Everyone feared for their lives. They couldn't go outside most of the time. Many houses had been badly damaged by giant meatballs. Stores were boarded up, and there was no more school for the children. So a decision was made to abandon the town of Chew and Swallow. It was a matter of survival. What a mess. The people glued together the giant pieces of stale bread, sandwich style, with peanut butter, took the absolute necessities with them, and set sail on their rafts for a new land. What would you take with you? After being afloat for a week, they finally reached a small coastal town, which welcomed them. The bread had held up surprisingly well enough for them to build a temporary houses for themselves out of it. The children began school again, and the adults all tried to find places for themselves in the new land. The biggest change they had to make was getting used to buying food at a supermarket. They found it odd that the food was kept on shelves, packaged in boxes and cans and bottles. Meat had to be cooked, was kept in large refrigerators. Nothing came down from the sky except rain and snow. The clouds above their heads were not made of fried eggs. No one ever got hit by a hamburger again. And nobody dared to go back to Chew and Swallow to find out what had happened to it. They were too afraid. Henry and I were awake until the very end of Grandpa's story. I remember his goodnight kiss. There's their houses. The next morning, we woke up to see snow falling outside our window. We ran downstairs for breakfast and ate it a little faster than usual so we could go sledding with Grandpa. It's funny, but even as we were sliding down the hill, we thought we saw a giant pat of butter at the top, and we could almost smell mashed potatoes. The end. So if you notice, the characters in the story, their background knowledge changed after they heard Grandpa's story about Chew and Swallow. They pictured the snow as mashed potatoes and the sun as butter. I hope you enjoyed this story, and thank you for visualizing with me. I want everyone to stay safe and have a wonderful week. Bye.
All right, guys. So that was one of our teachers from Weiss Elementary. Okay. So let me look at the. Let me show you real quick. There we go. Okay. I'm gonna put myself up here. There we go. Okay. So we have done our reading. So now we're going to do our spelling. Y'all ready? Okay, so our spelling words for cloudy are these 10 words right here. It is cloud, aloud, ground, around, down, allow, joy, annoy, boil, and foil. Okay, so all of these words have the O-U, O-W, O-Y, O-I pattern. Okay, I can't see. Okay. They all have this pattern, okay? The O-Y, O-I, O-W, O-Y? Did I ever say O-Y? Oh, okay. So all of those words contains those 4 spelling pattern. So the O-I, O-I, O-U, O-W, O-I, O-Y, they all have the sound of oi. Oh. Oh. Okay? So for our activities, guys, what you're going to do today is you're going to pick any of these, any 2 activities from these 6 choice boards, and you're going to take a picture of you actually doing the activity, like with hopscotch, chalk the walkway, jump rope, bouncy balls. Those are all activities, okay? You can either, like, I know it gives you an example of, like, if you can't take a picture of you doing it, just write it on a piece of paper, like, with the word foil, it would be 4 hops. Or with the word foil, it would be 4 bounces. So if you can't take a picture of it, guys, write it on a piece of paper and then send it over to me, okay? The environmental print. So what you will be doing is you are going to be looking for the print, that word, anywhere around your house. So for an example, for foil, you can find the word foil on a little container of aluminum foil, right? So try and do that with all the 10 words. It's like a giant scavenger hunt, guys. It'll be so much fun. You're going to do that with all 10 words, and then you're going to send a picture of this to me. Okay? Pretty easy. 2 activities. You can choose whichever one you want. Okie dokie? All right. So okay. So after that, don't forget to do your ice station, please. And then the forecaster activity is so much fun, guys. I cannot wait for y'all to see this. Okay, so where to go? Right there. All right, so the instructions say, write a news story. News is information about current events or things that are happening in the world, as reported by newspapers, websites, radio, television, and other forms of media. So, I'm going to be doing this with you step by step. So if you do everything that I do, it should be like easy peasy, lemon squeezy. All right? So the first thing you got to do, you have to pick any type of news story. It can be on the news itself, it can be on the app, it can be on a newspaper, it can be in a magazine that you have at home. There's different ways to get news. Also a reminder, the weather is also news, because this 100-degree weather, guys, is killing me. It's news, right? So yeah, if you want to do the weather, you could do that too. All right? Okay, so investigate. Ask yourself who, what, when, where, why, and how questions about the event you choose. This is the most easiest part ever, I promise. All right, so get yourself a piece of paper. Sorry, guys, like, my niece is staying with me, and Mr. Jimenez is out there, and they make me worried sometimes. They're playing around, but, okay. Piece of paper folded, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to mark that line out there. Okay? And then you're going to write who, what, when, where, why, and how on the side. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. Like me. Okay? So if you want to go step by step along with me, I suggest you pause it and then finish this and then come back. Okay? All right. So you have your news story. All right. So everybody, you have your news story, right? So and you have this paper. All right. We good? If you haven't found your news story, pause it and then come back. All right, so I'm going to go over who, what, when, where, why, and how with you, okay? And then we are going to fill this in together, okay? So remember that who asks the question, who's the story about, and then also consider that the who might not be a person. It could very well be like a penguin. So let's say that I have a magazine at home, and it's a National Geographic's magazine, okay? So my who is a penguin. It's not a person, but that is who the story is mostly about, okay? So I'm going to put Larry the penguin because that's its name. So who is your story about? Who's the main person that the story is about? Write it right here next to who, okay? So now our what. What answers the question, what did that person do, or what is happening? I want you to consider that you're only going to be talking about the most important part. I want you to think of main ideas, not key details, the main ideas. What is the whole thing about, okay? So Larry the penguin dove into the water. That was the most important thing, okay? So I'm going to write dove into the water. I misspelled water. Water. Okay. Okay, so now, when? When did the event take place? So a lot of people have issues with this one. So I want you again to think, what is the main idea? So you telling me that it happened at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, why is that important? Okay? I want you to ask yourself that whenever you answer the question, when. Why is it important? So if you tell me that, like Larry the penguin, his when was during the winter. So he dove into the water during the winter. And that is important because I'm about to tell y'all later, okay? You'll find out. You'll find out. Okay, so where answers the question, what is the location of the event? Okay, so Larry the penguin, he was in Antarctica. So I'm going to write Antarctica. Okay. So why? Why asks the question, why is this happening, or why is this important? Why am I talking about Larry? He drove into the water into Antarctica. So, what's important about it? Ask yourself, why is it important? Well, because it was his first time diving into the water since he was, okay, so Larry, let me back up. Larry was kidnapped, okay? And he went to live in a zoo. But it wasn't a good zoo. So then they took Larry back. And this was his first time diving into the cold Antarctic water since he was a little baby penguin. So, why? Because it was its first time. Okay. And then how asks the question, how do you know? So where did you get your information from? So me, remember I told you that I got my Larry the Penguin story from National Geographic's. So my how is going to be National Geographic's. Okay. So where did you get this information? It could be an app, the name of the app, or like Newswest 9, like you could do that too. Anything or wherever you got your information, your story from, is the how. Okay. All right, guys. So this is my favorite part. So remember that I told you that Cloudy with the Chance of Meatballs was kind of like set up kind of like if a news or a meteorologist was telling you this, right? It was set up that way. So what we're going to do is you have two options. The first option is that you can record yourself reading your paragraph, okay? Or you could just, if you're too camera shy like me, you can just write your paragraph and then just take a picture of this and send it to me, okay? But I would really like for y'all to do videos because I miss y'all so much and I haven't seen y'all forever. And y'all always see me, but sorry. What's going on, right? All right, so I'll show y'all how to write this paragraph, okay? So you are going to start with your how. You are going to say, according to. According to, okay? According to who? According to National Geographic's, because that's where you got your information from, right? National Geographic's. Okay? So according to National Geographic, who's the story about? Well, Larry the Penguin. What happened to Larry the Penguin? Larry the Penguin dove into the water, and then you're just going to keep on going down. You're going to add more information as you go down. So, if you were going to record this, this is kind of what it would sound like. Alrighty? According to the National Geographic's, Larry the Penguin dove into the cold water during the winter into Antarctica. This was Larry's first time in Antarctica. Thank you. Back to you. Okay, so you can record yourself, which I would love for you to do, or you can just take a picture of this and then send it to me. Okay? I think that's it, guys. If y'all have any other questions or concerns, let me know. Okay? Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, y'all enjoy yourselves, and you have a wonderful May 4th. May the 4th be with you. Get it? Get it? No? Sorry. Okay, guys. We'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.